Welcome to my channel, Super Rare Coins. Today is best, top 3 coins. Please don't skip this video. So let's get it started. The 1979 United Kingdom 2 new pence coin, bearing the portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, is an iconic example of British decimal coinage from the late 20th century, representing both a practical currency piece for everyday transactions and a small work of national art, steeped in heraldic symbolism, historical continuity, and the unique political, economic, and cultural atmosphere of its era. Struck by the Royal Mint, this coin is composed of bronze, specifically an alloy of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, which gives it its distinctive warm reddish-brown tone when freshly minted. Over time, circulation causes a gradual shift in color, developing darker brown hues, and sometimes patches of greenish patina in older examples due to copper oxidation. The coin's diameter measures 25.91 millimeters, its thickness is approximately 1.85 millimeters, and it weighs 7.12 grams, making it noticeably heavier and larger than the later post-1992 copper-plated steel 2 pence coins introduced when Britain switched to a cheaper composition. On the obverse, the heads side, the 1979 issue carries the second definitive coinage portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin OBE.Ra. This portrait, introduced in 1968 for the decimal series, shows the Queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a gift she received in 1947 as a wedding present from her grandmother, Queen Mary. Unlike her first portrait by Mary Gillick, which depicted her uncrowned, this Machin effigy conveys a more formal, regal appearance suitable for the new decimal coins introduced from 1968 onward. Around the Queen's effigy runs the legend, Elizabeth II D.G.Reg.F.D. 1979 inch, an abbreviation of the Latin Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensatrix, which translates as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The year 1979 is positioned at the bottom, below the truncation of the neck, providing an easy date reference for collectors and users alike. The precision of the engraving is notable, with delicate hair strands and tiara details sharply defined when in high grade, though circulation wear often smooths these fine features over time. The reverse, the tails side, displays the now familiar badge of the Prince of Wales, which consists of a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, with a ribbon below bearing the motto Ich diene, German for I serve. This heraldic badge has been associated with the Prince of Wales since the 14th century, traditionally linked to Edward, the Black Prince, though the exact historical origins are debated among historians. The coronet depicted is composed of a gold band set with crosses and fleur-de-lis, symbolizing royal authority, with the feathers representing the heir apparent. Surrounding the badge is the denomination inscription New Pence at the top and the numeral 2 centrally placed beneath the feathers and ribbon. The design was created by Christopher Ironside, a prolific British coin designer whose work helped shape the visual identity of Britain's decimal coinage. One particularly interesting detail for numismatists is that the 1979 coin still uses the new pence rather than 2 pence. This is because when decimal currency was introduced in the UK in 1971, the word new was included on the coins to distinguish them from the pre-decimal pennies, which were larger and of different value. This wording remained until 1982, when the change to 2 pence, as the public had become accustomed to decimalization. Therefore, the 1979 issue sits firmly in that transitional historical window when decimal currency was still relatively fresh in everyday life. In terms of mintage, the Royal Mint produced very large quantities of the 1979 2 new pence coin for circulation tens of millions, ensuring that it was a common sight in pockets, purses, and tills throughout the United Kingdom. As a result, circulated examples are generally worth only face value unless in exceptionally high uncirculated or proof condition. However, the coin holds strong nostalgic appeal for many Britons, as it evokes memories of the late 1970s, a decade marked by economic challenges, industrial unrest, but also cultural vibrancy, with the United Kingdom navigating its post-imperial identity, joining the European Economic Community earlier in the decade, and preparing to enter the new technological age of the 1980s. Proof and uncirculated 1979 2 new pence coins were also struck for inclusion in Royal Mint annual coin sets, packaged for collectors in sealed presentation cases. These special strikes were made with polished dies and specially prepared planchets, giving them a deep mirror-like finish on the flat fields and a frosted texture on the raised designs. Such proof coins, when kept in pristine condition, are far scarcer than their circulation counterparts and command higher prices among collectors, especially when still housed in their original packaging with certificate of authenticity. The coin's everyday use meant that it often shows signs of heavy wear, such as loss of detail in the Queen's portrait, flattening of the feather details on the reverse, scratches, contact marks, and discoloration from exposure to moisture, pocket lint, or even cleaning attempts. For collectors, grading is an essential factor in determining value, with the top grades brilliant uncirculated, BU, and proof being the most desirable. Coins graded FDC, fleur de coin, or flawless mint state, are virtually perfect, while circulated grades range from very fine, VF, through extremely fine, EF, to about uncirculated, AU, depending on the extent of wear. Historically, the 1979 2 new pence also fits into the broader story of British coinage reform. The decimalisation process, officially completed on Decimal Day, February 15, 1971, was the largest overhaul of the UK's currency system in centuries, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system with a straightforward decimal structure where 100 new pence made up £1 sterling. The 2 new pence coins' purchasing power in 1979 was significantly greater than today, equivalent to perhaps 10-15 pence in early 21st century terms, meaning it could still buy small goods such as a bar of chocolate, a newspaper, or a bus fare supplement. From a cultural perspective, coins like the 2 new pence played a subtle role in reinforcing national symbols and royal identity in daily life. Every time someone paid for goods, they handled a miniature piece of heraldry and monarchy, a tradition dating back to the earliest coinage bearing rulers' portraits in the ancient world. The motto Ich Dien on the reverse also served as a quiet reminder of the royal family's ceremonial connection to service and duty, ideals that Queen Elizabeth II herself was well known to embody throughout her reign. Today, while the 1979 2 new pence coin is not rare, it remains collectible for those who seek complete date runs of decimal coins, for fans of Christopher Ironside's designs, and for those interested in the pre-1982 new pence issues. High-grade examples, especially in original mint packaging, can serve as attractive, affordable entry points for new collectors, while proof strikes appeal to more advanced numismatists seeking perfection. Next, the 1971 United Kingdom 2 new pence coin is a historically significant piece in modern British coinage, being the very first year of issue for the denomination as part of the United Kingdom's transition to the decimal currency system. This transition marked one of the most important monetary reforms in Britain since the introduction of the pound sterling itself many centuries earlier. The coin was struck by the Royal Mint and features the portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, paired with a reverse design that is rich in heraldic tradition and symbolic of the Prince of Wales. The 1971 issue holds a special place in British numismatic history because it was part of the inaugural decimal coin set issued for the historic Decimal Day, on February 15, 1971, a day that fundamentally changed the way Britons thought about money, prices, and arithmetic in everyday life. From a technical perspective, the coin is composed of bronze, an alloy made of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This composition gives the coin a warm reddish-brown color when freshly minted, which gradually darkens through circulation and exposure to the environment. With a diameter of 25.91 mm, a thickness of around 1.85 mm, and a weight of 7.12 grams, the coin is noticeably large and heavy by modern small denomination standards. It has a smooth, plain edge without any reading, and the broad flan allows the design elements to be well-proportioned and highly legible. These physical specifications remained consistent for the denomination until 1992, when the Royal Mint changed the composition to copper-plated steel and reduced the mass of the coins, making the early bronze pieces like the 1971 issue more substantial in hand. On the obverse side, the 1971 coin features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the renowned British sculptor Arnold Machin OBE. RA introduced in 1968 for the new decimal coins. Machin's effigy shows the Queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This tiara was given to her in 1947 as a wedding present from Queen Mary, and it has become one of the most recognizable items of her jewelry collection. The portrait by Machin was praised for its balance between regal dignity and a softer, approachable image of the monarch. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin legend, Elizabeth II D.G.Reg.F.D. 1971 inch, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Grazia Regina Fidei Defensatrix, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The date 1971 appears at the bottom, directly beneath the truncation of the Queen's neck. This obverse design would be used on British coins for over 2 decades, making it one of the most familiar images of the Queen during her reign. The reverse design, created by Christopher Ironside, is both distinctive and steeped in heraldic history. It features the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, with a ribbon below bearing the German motto Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This emblem has been associated with the Prince of Wales since the 14th century, traditionally linked to Edward, the Black Prince, though its precise origins are a matter of historical debate. The coronet depicted is made of a gold band set with crosses and fleur-de-lis, representing royal authority. Above the badge is the denomination legend, New Pence, and below it is the large numeral, 2. The new pence was used on all decimal 2p coins from 1971 until 1981, after which it was changed to 2 pence from 1982 onward, once the public had become familiar with decimalization. The year 1971 is unique for the 2 new pence because it marks the first time the denomination entered circulation. The Royal Mint struck huge numbers of these coins to ensure there were enough in the economy for the switch to decimal currency. The mintage ran into the hundreds of millions, making the coin very common at the time. Notably, the coins dated 1971 were also included in the official decimal coin sets sold to the public and distributed through banks, schools, and shops to help people familiarize themselves with the new system. These sets often contained uncirculated specimens, which are now sought after by collectors in high grade. The coin's debut was part of the broader decimalization plan, which replaced the old pounds, shillings, and pence system where 1 pound was divided into 20 shillings, and each shilling into 12 pennies, making 240 old pence to the pound, with a modern decimal structure in which 1 pound was divided into 100 new pence. The 2 new pence coin was thus worth 2/100ths of a pound, or double the value of the new 1p coin. In practical terms, in 1971, the purchasing power of 2p was considerable compared to today. It could buy a small bar of chocolate, a bus fare supplement, or a loaf of bread in some areas. As a circulating coin, the 1971 2 new pence experienced heavy everyday use, leading to most surviving examples today being in worn condition. Over decades, the bronze alloy darkens, and coins may develop patina or verdigris if stored improperly. Many coins were carried in pockets and purses, tossed into change jars, or even used in school children's games. For collectors, high-grade examples, especially brilliant uncirculated, BU, or proof, are more desirable. The BU coins from 1971 have crisp details on the Queen's hair, tiara, and facial features, as well as sharp, unflattened feather details on the reverse. Proof coins from the 1971 Royal Mint proof set have a deep, mirrored background with frosted raised designs and are the finest examples available. From a historical and cultural standpoint, the 1971 2 new pence is a tangible artifact of Britain's modernization in the early 1970s. Decimalization was not only a financial reform but also a social and cultural adjustment, requiring a nationwide public education campaign. For months leading up to Decimal Day, posters, TV broadcasts, and pamphlets explained the new coinage. The 2 new pence was an integral part of that message, often pictured alongside the other new denominations to familiarize the public. For many people alive at the time, receiving these coins in change for the first time was a memorable event, marking the end of centuries of pre-decimal tradition. Today, while the 1971 2 new pence coin is not rare in circulated grades due to its massive mintage, it holds enduring appeal for collectors seeking a complete date run of decimal coins, or for those specializing in first-year-of-issue coins. It is also popular with those who collect by type, as it represents the earliest bronze decimal 2p with the new pence inscription. High-grade specimens, particularly in original mint packaging, command a premium compared to worn examples. Additionally, coins from the 1971 proof set remain highly collectible, especially when accompanied by their original case and certificate. As time passes, the number of pristine 1971 2 new pence coins in existence is shrinking, since many have been lost, damaged, or corroded. This gradual attrition, combined with the coin's role in one of the UK's most significant currency changes, ensures that the 1971 issue will always hold a respected place in British numismatic history. Whether viewed as a nostalgic keepsake, a teaching tool about decimalization, or a collectible in its own right, the 1971 2 new pence continues to be a small but meaningful piece of the United Kingdom's economic and cultural story. Next, the 2001 United Kingdom 2 pence coin, often mistakenly called 2 new pence, by some collectors out of habit from its pre-1982 predecessors, is part of Britain's decimal currency system that has been in place since Decimal Day, February 15, 1971. By 2001, The denomination had already been in circulation for 3 decades, evolving in both composition and subtle minting techniques, but retaining the same basic reverse design that had been used since the very beginning. The coin of this date is not rare in circulation terms, but it still has a clear place in the modern numismatic story of the UK because it comes from the period when the Royal Mint had fully switched the metal composition from traditional bronze to a copper-plated steel core, a major change introduced in September 1992 to save production costs as copper prices rose. Physically, the 2001 2-pence coin has a diameter of 25.91 millimeters, a thickness of approximately 1.85 millimeters, and a standard weight of 7.12 grams. Its composition is mild steel plated with pure copper, which means that while it looks like the older bronze issues when freshly minted, the underlying metal is magnetic. This is an easy way for collectors to identify post-1992 coins. A small magnet will cling to the coin's surface. Over time, the copper plating can wear thin in high-circulation coins, sometimes revealing grayish steel spots beneath. The plain edge is smooth with no milling, giving a broad, uninterrupted field that frames the design. The alloy change also subtly altered the coin's feel in the hand. It's slightly harder sounding and a bit less dense than its bronze predecessors. The obverse of the 2001 coin features the 4th definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Ian Rank Broadley FRBS and introduced in 1998. This portrait replaced Raphael Maklauf's more idealized 3rd portrait, opting instead for a realistic, unflinching depiction of the Queen at age 71. In this effigy, Her Majesty faces right and wears the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most iconic jewels. The portrait is notably larger than in previous designs, with the head extending closer to the coin's rim, reflecting Rank Broadley's intention to make the monarch's image a bold, unmistakable feature. Around the portrait is the legend Elizabeth II D.G.Reg.F.D. 2001 inch, abbreviated Latin for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensatrix, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The date 2001 is positioned at the bottom. This was only the 4th year of circulation for this obverse type, so in high grade it retains excellent detail in the Queen's facial features, hair strands, and tiara points. The reverse design in 2001 remained the work of Christopher Ironside, originally created for the decimal coinage in 1971. It depicts the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, with a ribbon below inscribed with the motto Ich diene, I serve in German. Beneath the badge is the denomination numeral 2, and above it is the inscription 2 pence. This wording had been in use since 1982. Before that, the read, new pence. The design is clean, symmetrical, and easy to identify by touch or sight, making it one of the most enduring British coin reverses. It reflects centuries of heraldic tradition, linking the modern decimal coin directly to the monarchy and the role of the Prince of Wales as heir to the throne. Why 2001, the 2-pence coin had become a workhorse denomination in UK coinage, heavily used in everyday transactions, especially in giving change in multiples of 2p and 4p. In retail contexts, the coin often appeared alongside the 1p coin in tills, and though inflation had eroded its purchasing power since the 1970s, it still held practical value. 2 pence could cover the smallest price adjustments and was essential in vending machines, parking meters, and arcade machines that accepted low-value coins. The mintage for circulation in 2001 was substantial, as is typical for this denomination, running into tens of millions. Exact figures from the Royal Mint record that more than 97 million 2-pence coins were struck that year for everyday use, ensuring that the date is not scarce in circulation. In addition to regular strikes, the Royal Mint also issued the coin in brilliant uncirculated (BU) quality as part of its 2001 annual sets, and in proof quality for collectors, with deeply polished fields and frosted raised designs. These collector strikes are far scarcer and more desirable than the mass-produced circulation examples, particularly when kept sealed in their original presentation packaging. From a historical context, 2001 was an interesting year for Britain. It was the beginning of the 21st century's first decade, a period marked by rapid technological change, the growth of the Internet, and shifts in public attitudes towards the monarchy and national symbols. Coins like the 2 pence served as subtle but constant reminders of continuity, with the Queen's portrait and heraldic emblems quietly reinforcing tradition in the public's daily life. For children receiving pocket money or change from a sweet shop in 2001, the 2p was one of the coins they handled most often, large enough to notice, yet small enough in value to spend casually. Collectors today generally find the 2001 2 pence easy to obtain in circulated condition, but the challenge lies in finding perfect, unmarked examples. The large copper-plated steel flan is prone to contact marks from other coins, hairline scratches from handling, and loss of original mint luster. As with all modern UK coinage, grading ranges from fine, F, through extremely fine, EF, to about uncirculated, AU, with brilliant uncirculated, BU, and proof being the top collector grades. In BU condition, the coin shows full original luster, sharp detailing in the Queen's portrait, and crisp edges on the feathers of the reverse badge. In proof condition, the contrast between the mirror-like background and the frosted devices is striking and makes for an impressive display piece. Economically, by 2001 the 2PS value had diminished through inflation to the point where it could not purchase much on its own, perhaps a single penny chew sweet, which by then often cost more than 2p, or contribute towards a larger purchase. However, its role in the coinage system remained important, as it allowed exact pricing and avoided excessive rounding in cash transactions. The coin also held legal tender status for amounts up to 20p in total when offered as payment in 2p coins, a small but curious legal detail in the UK's coinage LAW and the broader scope of British coin design. The 2001 2p sits in the late stage of the Ironside reverse era, just a few years before the 2008 Royal Mint redesign, which would replace the heraldic badge with the segment of the Royal Shield in Matthew Dent's new unified reverse design. This means that the 2001 issue belongs to the last chapter of the traditional 2p type that had remained unchanged since 1982, making it of interest to type collectors who chart the visual evolution of UK coinage. As time passes, even common modern coins like the 2001 2p begin to gain collector attention, especially in pristine condition or as part of complete year sets. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.